Welcome to the program. We're doing the show slightly under duress. I literally have no microphone today, or no. I have no. Uh, let's just fix this. I have apologies because I have no um ability to see today. If you're watching on the YouTubes, you're missing my glasses because my glasses are missing. I'm literally flying blind to do the show today. So I humbly ask for your um, forgiveness as I do the most important show of the year without my glasses. This is literally the most important show of the year with Thom Hartmann on the show, and I have no glasses, and it's freaking me out. I can't see. Like I'm literally flying blind. I can see. Okay, the I can't see is a little exaggerated. I can see, but let me describe this to you. It's as if Russian bombers are like hitting my eye sockets at a million miles an hour. And I clean my room to do this. I'm a slob. I'm a we're gonna have story time for me the first little bit of the show because I need to get this out in the open and then forget that it's happened. I'm a slob. Um, I am not next to godliness when it comes to cleanliness, right? So I am one of these people who misplaces things on a regular basis. But for me to misplace my glasses, like for those watching, I have no glasses. I can barely see. Like I can functionally see, but it hurts to see. My glasses make the sight bigger for me to be able to see, and it stops the stress on my eyes. It's like a barrier. It's like a protective coating around my eyes when I have my glasses, and I have no glasses because Tom Reynolds, the nosy liberal, has lost his glasses in his room. I put them down last night. I said, "Glasses, you're gonna go here." I put them down on top of my laptop last night, and they are no longer there. My laptop is here, but the glasses person, whoever the glasses person is, stole my glasses. They lifted my glasses on we have quite literally the most important show of the year with one of the most smartest guests that I'll ever have on the air. Um, and I can't see, and I am completely embarrassed. I'm embarrassed on multiple levels. I'm embarrassed that I did this. I'm embarrassed that I'm my own worst enemy. I'm embarrassed that I can't plan for shit. I am completely embarrassed and flabbergasted today. I'm wishing I just did radio because radio I could wing it, but video I have to be able to see comments like Jim saying good morning. I have to be able to read a little bit better. I can't just wing it here where I can on radio. Radio is a little bit more function where you can just kind of just wing it and um uh, it's just like amazing that it's hard for me to see today. So I apologize. I'm not like in Ukraine and gonna be shot by Russians or anything. My life is not that bit difficult, but it makes me want to cry because I don't like being this embarrassed. I have Thom Hartmann coming on at 10:30, and I want to be able to see Thom Hartmann and not make any mistakes. And I make the biggest mistake of them all is I lose my glasses. So we're not gonna focus on that. We're gonna focus on the news. We're gonna talk about the news and what's going on, and we're not gonna focus on the fact that Tom is a moron. Okay? We're not gonna focus on that fact. And we're not gonna focus on the fact that um I am just horribly misplacing things. But Jim says, I lost my car and house keys once and couldn't leave the house for 4 days. That would make me crazy. Like, I'm a hermit, so, like, I like the option of not ever leaving, but literally, I can't drive. Legally, I can't drive right now because I don't have my glasses. They literally help me not be. I'm not blind. Like, I'm not a blind person when I don't have my glasses, but it just hurts. Everything hurts when one does not have one's glasses. And one does not have their glasses. And I was so desperate this morning. I never do this. I was like, "Dad, I need your help. Please come help me." Even my dad helping me could not find my glasses. So that is the embarrassment that is today. And I hope I don't embarrass myself during this interview because I adore Thom Hartmann. I think he's a great guest. He's like having Tara Devlin on. He's a leader in our movement. Tara Devlin is a leader in our movement. Thom Hartmann is a national symbol for progressives and being smart. And what do I do? Just the stupidest thing you can imagine. And I like it's bad enough I'm dressing down for it, right? I'm kind of like, yeah, this is the show we do. We're dressed down. But I picked today to lose my glasses. Um River, hi, River from another Terror Buster convert saying that would be a poltergeist. Hey Jim, hey, I think I do have a poltergeist. I think my room, I think my room is haunted. I think I think I do have a poltergeist. Um, Sent by most of my exes because I'm told I'm an asshole. So there's that. I think I'm pretty sure I have a poltergeist. I think it's conjured up by all the evil republicanism that I used to be. Like, I used to be this very dick Republican. So I think my poltergeist is my former self just flapping around, trying to make my life more difficult. Just like the news cycle, it's just flapping around out there, trying to make everything more difficult. And usually I'm a lot like, I haven't taken my set of pills yet because I've been trying to find my glasses. Got to see how many pills you're supposed to take. So you look for things that are important to you. And I'm looking for my glasses because this is a morning show. I need to be aware of what I'm doing in the morning for the morning show so I don't fail you guys and talk like a rambling idiot, like I do when I feel like I'm on Tara's show. I don't know what it is about Tara, but when I go on her show, I feel like I'm a rambling idiot. In fact, there's my phone. My phone shouldn't be on, but yet there it is because I didn't turn it off because I can't see the button to turn it off. So I have to do it again because I didn't turn it off the first time. See how this works, folks? This is a gem of a show. If not for Thom Hartmann being on the show, this is a gem of a show because we're gonna see how I managed to pull this off without being able to see properly. Uh Tara is the best. River. I adore Tara. Tara Devlin is just she will go out of her way for a human or a gorgeous little kitty cat. But a normal human being, Tara Devlin will go out of her way for. And she is just absolutely wonderful. And she is one of the best people this show has. She's one of the biggest supporters this show has, and I can't thank her enough. And this network has. So I'm gonna try and do like the news and things I have to do for you guys while not being able to see, um, and just wing it. So apologies in advance, and I guess apologies to Thom Hartmann because my blind ass is gonna be interviewing you, and I can't read the information about your book that you're trying to promote. So the best thing for me to do when Thom Hartmann comes on is shut up and let him tell us about his book. So that's what I'm going to do. That's going to be I'm not going to interject. I have like one question for Thom Hartmann for his book, and I'm going to save it for later. And it's a good book. I got to scan through it and everything else, speed read through it when I could see, and it's a good book. And I can't wait for it. But I'm literally blind today. Usually it's technology that fails me, but I failed me. I literally it's like what the fuck, Tom? I swear to God, I am my own worst enemy. I don't need like a conservative troll. I just have me. I am my own conservative troll, is what it is. So there's that. So enough of the talk about that. We're not going to take that many breaks during the show today. The music will play. I'm going to stop the music when Tom's on because we have a half hour with him, and I want to take the whole half hour. I'm used to my glasses being here, and they're not, and it's very weird. That being said, enough about that. Let's go into the news. I want to talk about this first story out of the gate. And I didn't even have time to put my link up to the. I only had the story link. I don't have the website link yet. But this Beto O'Rourke story from Breitbart. Oh, Breitbart, Breitbart. Oh, I cannot stand Breitbart. But they give us the best information on what the left does. The right wing finds the best information on what the Democratic side does and the foolishness of the Democratic side. Because they're trying to say, look, we got you. We got you, lefties. You see? We were able to attach our messaging and attack you, and now we got you. And that's what we're seeing here with this article from them is what we're seeing here. And just bear with me. I'm trying to get the article pulled up without the remove that. Just bear with me here, folks. I cannot see, so this is the excuse we're going with. Usually I have my glasses to help me. So we're just gonna go with the dual screen today. Well, let's see if I can remove it. There we go. So this article filled with ads from Breitbart is Democrat. Notice how they say it, not Democratic candidate. Democrat Beto O'Rourke says critical race theory should not be taught in schools. What? Yeah, he said it. He was in Victoria, Texas, and he was like, yeah, it shouldn't be taught in schools. He gave the right wing a talking point to say Beto O'Rourke said it. Joe Biden, do you agree with Beto O'Rourke? Kirsten Sinema, do you agree with Beto O'Rourke? Joe Manchin, do you agree with Beto O'Rourke? Barack Obama, do you agree with Beto O'Rourke? You name the Democratic person, they're going to go after the prominent Democratic person with this. They're going to go after. They're going to say, "Well, Beto O'Rourke says Beto O'Rourke, a Democratic person says CRT should not be held in the classroom." He made a classic misstep. Somebody shouted from the crowd. Big crowd too, nice crowd. So, Notable lack of quote marks. I do have the video. I'm gonna try and play the video. It is notable, but they're not that. The right is not that great in the grammar. To be fair, I mean, look who we're talking about now. The right wing is not that great in grammar. But I do have the video here, and I'll see if I can um, pull it up from the site itself and play it this way. So here's the video, and I never do it this way, but I saw Tara Devlin do it, and we're gonna kind of mimic her, and it works for her. Let's see if it works for me. Let's see.
And I think you and I probably are both on the same page as well. We don't see CRT being taught in our schools right now. It's a course that is taught in law school. No, I don't think it should be taught in our schools. Yeah.
So that was Beto O'Rourke. No, I don't think CRT should be taught in our schools. He said it. He did it. He fell for it. Come on, Beto. You're supposed to be this great speaker, this great orator. Even I know I'm not that smart. And even I know, don't fall for the RNC GOP conservative trap. And what did he go and do? I'm blind and I can see it. What did he go and do? Yeah, we shouldn't be teaching that in schools. It's taught in law schools. He could have went with it's really not that big a thing. But instead he went with it shouldn't be taught in schools. And it's nonsensical. So it drives me absolutely insane. Is where we're at. And my music didn't come up the way it's supposed to. Things are not quite working here. It's like we need progressives to stand by progressive, even Democrats. Forget progressives for a minute. I'm a progressive. You guys are probably progressives. Forget progressives. We need the Democratic Party leaders in the Democratic Party to be smart enough to say, oh my God, that is a right-wing talking point. Let's not go and help the right wing. Beto O'Rourke should have been like, dude, this isn't being taught in public schools. This is a faux narrative. I'm not going to fall for your trap. That's what Beto O'Rourke should have done. But instead, he took well, I don't think it should be taught in school. You don't think being critical about race? Just take the name of it, critical race theory. You're being critical about race and have a theory about it. Just take the name. You don't think that being critical should be taught in schools? Critical thinking shouldn't be taught in schools, Beto? Critical thinking? Forget that it has to do with white and black and the colors and racism and everything else in it. Beto O'Rourke, come on, man. You giving the Republicans an easy one? In a race that you're supposed to be defining yourself against Greg Abbott. Well, Beto O'Rourke doesn't believe in it. Greg Abbott doesn't believe in it. I'll go vote for Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott is a proven leader. Just hand him the election, Beto. An easy answer to this. And again, I can't see today, and I'm handing out the softballs. A softball easy answer is, dude, it's not being taught in Texas schools. Republicans wouldn't allow it to be taught in Texas schools. Why are you so upset about something that is only taught in law schools, in universities? Why are you that upset? That's a softball way. What have you been taught? What have you been taught to make yourself this upset that you now have to believe that critical race theory is taught in schools. Beto, think about it. Come on, I should not be the one telling Beto O'Rourke political strategy. I should not be doing it. He has people on the payroll to do that. Where are those people? Every one of them should be fired. Every one of those people on the payroll for Beto O'Rourke should be fired. I should not see a Breitbart piece touting Beto O'Rourke being okay with banning CRT. So Beto O'Rourke is okay with banning critical thinking. We need to turn this around. This ship is going to sail, and it's going to run rimshot right over us, and we're going to lose because people like Beto O'Rourke are giving the freaking store to freaking Republicans. Well, why should I vote for Beto? He's against CRT. Greg Abbott's against CRT. I might as well go with Greg Abbott because Greg Abbott already has principles. Greg Abbott has some principles to say it. I gotta find out from Beto O'Rourke that he's not against it. It's like Joe Biden. I was never for defund the police. Fund the police. I mean, it took how long for him to get that out? Democratic Party needs to work itself out. Find a Frank Luntz for somebody who isn't a toe sucker. Find somebody who isn't a toe sucker to give political strategery to. Because, frankly, the political strategery that the Democratic Party is getting sucks monkey balls. I mean, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt has clips on TikTok about talking about Republicans, talking about his dog, talking trash about his dog and not being mad about it, but the dog's mad about it. I saw this on TikTok, for Christ's sake. They need to hire that person who put out the video of FDR in the vlogosphere, in the metaverse. I mean, my excuse today is I can't see. What is the Democratic Party's excuse? Too much corporate money? Is the far left right? I don't want the far left to be right. I want to work with these Democrats. I want to work with Beto O'Rourke. I think he has some good ideas about guns and about, keeping people alive. I don't buy into the Tucker Carlson spiel about how Beto O'Rourke is. Because that same spiel can be applied to Tucker Carlson. And let's face it. Who am I going to believe? Beto O'Rourke or Tucker Carlson? I'm going to believe Beto O'Rourke. I'm going to believe Beto O'Rourke. It drives me insane that this is where we're at again. It's like we learn nothing. It's Lucy and the football over again. I'm championing these people, right? I want people like Thom Hartmann and everybody to come out on the show. River says, "Gotta work, guys. I'll be watching the show later." Under the pillow for your glasses. It's not a My Pillow though, or maybe it is. Maybe my pillow became a My Pillow, and I mysteriously lost my glasses. Thank you, River, for joining the program to the live watch. But we gotta do better as Democrats, or we're gonna lose. Like so many people predict Democrats losing because Democrats act like losers in the Democratic Party. I don't. But there are a lot of people in the Democratic Party like Beto O'Rourke. Beto, come on, you're gonna give him this? You're gonna give him this talking point? You're gonna be like, yeah, let's have it. Let's have it at it, Republicans. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't be a thing, but yet here we are, a thing. It drives me insane. Beto. It's politics is a pressure cooker, and you got to show how well you're going to do in that pressure cooker. Like me losing my glasses is part of the pressure cooker, so I gotta perform and do well having lost my glasses. So what does Thom do? He continues doing a show, knowing that it's going to be more stress because Thom doesn't have his glasses. So we decide we're going to do the show a different way and hit things harder differently because Thom doesn't have his glasses. We're going to make the best of a bad situation because Thom can't see. So we're going to do that for you. That's what makes sense. And you don't see Tom Reynolds as a loser because Thom lost his glasses, but you see Tom Reynolds as a winner because he persevered on without his glasses and managed to still do a show blind as a bat. There's a difference. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference in how we interact. It shows the type of way we're going to be willing to deal with a situation. I'm doing a morning show because there's one morning show that I know of on our side. I think there should be more morning shows. I'm doing a morning show because I want to counter the narrative from that morning show that I believe is good, but could be better. And I think there should be a broader landscape. I had lots of time slots to pick. I could have gone the easy route. But instead, I picked a difficult time slot for people to catch the show because people work and people have things they do in the morning. Because this is the most appropriate time for me to get off my ass and bring you the news. That Beto, and the news I gotta bring you is this: Beto O'Rourke hands the right wing a talking point. Beto fucking O'Rourke. It's like, come on. We need to do better in the Democratic side. Otherwise, we're going to fall flat. And all those predictions, those dire predictions about how we're going to lose are going to come true. And Kevin McCarthy is going to be the dumbest leader in politics, but he's going to be the leader. And who knows if he'll give it to I almost said George W. Bush, to Donald Trump, the presidency. Because that's the fever dream the Republicans have, that the Speaker of the House hands the speakership to Donald Trump, the fever dream. Because they don't critically think. Of course they don't like critical thinking. Of course they don't like CRT. Critical, and yes, and then Speaker Trump. I mean, come on. Do we want Republican fever dreams coming true? That we hand it to them? I mean, the reason I do this show, I do it differently from others, is scary. Like Jim, you're like giving me a nightmare scenario of and the House leaders, Green, Brobart, and Jordan, and Gates. And Gates. You can't type today, I can't see today. We're a dynamic duo, my friend. I mean, come on. And you can leave a comment in the comment section. We got Thom Hartmann coming up. But I'm talking about this. We got a big picture here, folks. We gotta not give any. It's like Ukraine. Ukraine is not giving Russia any territory. We got to not give Republicans any political territory. Republicans are now going to fundraise off of Beto O'Rourke is against critical race theory. They're going to fundraise off that. They're going to fundraise off of something stupid that every political person that works for Beto O'Rourke should be fired over is not going to get fired over and is going to be able to keep their job. Why is it me, a non-graduate of college? I didn't graduate my college year. I dropped out of college. I'm a non-college graduate. Can figure this out for Beto O'Rourke. Not to give the right wing a handout. It's what Beto O'Rourke did. Beto O'Rourke was given a handout to the Republican Party. I'm so angry I can't even say it because it makes no sense that this happened. We're supposed to be better than that. We got to stop giving defund the police. Every logical Democrat knows what we really want with defund the police, but the wording is so mismanaged and malinformed that it can mean anything to anyone in the way they want to portray it, and then you get bullshit out of it. I mean, seriously, this is what we're dealing with, folks. We're dealing with a party that is in it to win it. The Republicans want to win at no cost to them and all costs to us. All costs, all plans on the table. They do not care who they hurt in the process. No cost to them because they have no soul. See how I switched a misstep around? You can switch a misstep around when you speak. It's very simple to do. We're going to have Thom Hartmann on today. I'm scared out of my mind. Because Thom Hartmann is the professor, I am the student, and I get to ask the professor questions about his new book that came out. He's graciously donated his time to FYNation.com, and he's a great supporter of FY, just like all my liberal folks. He's a great supporter of FYNation.com. And I can't see for shit. And even I'm phrasing that wrong. I can see, but I cannot see without my glasses. See, I can see what Republicans are doing wrong all day long. I used to be one. I could see what they're doing in the hellscape of what they're trying to create against the Democratic Party. All day long, I can see. They are trying to create a fever dream where they have the power, and Marjorie Taylor Greene can blow up whatever the fuck she wants to blow up. Can act a fool however the fuck she wants to act a fool. And can just get away with it. And we're here on this show not to let it happen. We cannot let it happen. They are all the same. They are just different levels of shit. I've come to that conclusion. Republicans are all the same. It's a level of shit they are at. How high a level of shit is the Republican at? Is it a level 2? Is it a level 14? Which DEFCON are we at with these people? And Stacey Abrams was the name that I was looking for earlier. I wanted to call her Cindy Adams. And Cindy Adams is the famous reporter. Stacey Abrams is the famous gubernatorial candidate who didn't lose, by the way. She was cheated out of an election. Yeah, Some days names are hard for our Democratic friends. But Stacey Abrams. See, one thing the Republicans have for them going on is they brand really well. Like for dipshits, you know who the fuck they are. You know who the dipshit is. The Democratic side, it's as if the Republicans do all the branding, and it's like, come on, really? Democrats, get off your ass. Do some quality branding here. It's like the story that we're talking about. The Breitbart. He's dead, by the way. Thank Christ. Thank Christ for small favors. Andrew Breitbart is dead. He lives on though. He is just a, a horrible human being and a horrible paper, but they get it right sometimes. And the headline from Breitbart is that this dude here, Beto O'Rourke, is like uh, um the Beto O'Rourke is saying critical race theory should not be taught in our schools, giving a talking point to Republicans, to Greg Abbott. Did somebody mention to did like does Beto O'Rourke know there's an election happening? Did somebody clue him in? You don't have to be okay with CRT, but could you not give a talking point to a Republican? Could we manage not to do that? At the very least, can I trouble you not to do that? I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of it. I am sick and tired of the Democratic Party ceding these talking points to Republicans on a constant basis. And then I got to come out and I got to say, Tom Merrill says the narrative is this. And I got to get people to actually be on my side to believe that the narrative is correct, that critical race theory is not bad in and of itself. There's nothing wrong with critical race theory. People, you might be a racist if you think that there's something wrong with critical race theory. In fact, I'll go so far. You might be the problem if you think there's a problem with critical race theory. You could very well be the issue. Because you're afraid of examining things in government that may bring about racial conclusions. Why would you be afraid of that unless you're racist? Unless you don't want it pointed out that what you're doing right now is racist. That's the conclusion I come up with. That's the conclusion Tom Reynolds comes up with. That you are so desperate not to be thought of as a racist, you can't have critical race theory taught. Because if critical race theory is taught, then people will open up their eyes and say, wait a minute, you guys are racist. You're not doing it for humanity. You're doing it because you're a fucking racist. And that's why teaching critical race theory is important. And that's why not giving a Republican a talking point about critical race theory is, oh my God, important. See, I can't do this show without my glasses. It hurts like hell, but I can do it. My God, it hurts. It's like sitting through a Marjorie Taylor Greene speech at AFPAC. Jim with a great comment. There's no theory that says pretend the trauma never happened. Exactly. I have the smartest, most capable audience in the world. I really do. I have the great. My audience is so just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, my audience. And it's just I can't stand how wonderfully great my audience is today. And any day, for that matter, on the Nosey Liberal. Because we go through it here on the show with technical difficulties and me losing my glasses, and I got the Superman Clark Kent look thing, the Kal-El look going on today with my hair, one strand of my hair. Where is that? One strand of my hair out that's driving me nuts. So we go through it on this show. But we get people in like Thom Hartmann, you, and participation. Yeah, new word. It's not a word, but I created it. God damn it. We get participation going on in this show. And we get people like River and we get Jim, and we need you. We need to be able to go after the Republican talking points that allow the things like what we're going to talk about with Thom Hartmann's book to happen. And I'm tired of just not of well, the Democrats do it too. Well, the Democrats do it too. Okay, the Democrats do it, but not on the scale that Republicans do it. Not on the grift level that Republicans do it. And Republicans do not care about governing. Where Democrats, even the bad ones, give a damn about governing. Even the bad ones give a damn about governing. There are some that outright should be Republicans. Joe Manchin, I'm looking right at you. Kirsten Sinema, looking right at you. You should, darling, sweetie, it's time you became a Republican. And sat down and had a long talk with yourself and said, I'm a Republican. That's what you need to do. Sit down and have a long conversation with yourself and admit that you are a Republican and that's how it is and that's what it is and that's where we are and such is life. So at 10:30 we're going to have the professor Thom Hartmann on. I don't think he's really a professor, but I like calling him. He's smarter than me and he teaches things. I always learn something when I listen to him and listen to his callers because he has a brilliant audience from noon to 3 o'clock on FYNation.com. And we're lucky to have him. We're really, I can't wait to, he's my first guest of the Nosey Liberal, actual guest. Like, Tara Devlin is, I think of her as a contributor, not a guest. Tara Devlin is a supporter of FY Nation. She's more than a guest. She is an amazing human being. Thom Hartmann is a guest. We're gonna have Thom Hartmann on the show tomorrow. We're gonna have um, who are we gonna have? We're gonna have another guest, and he goes by the name of Ron Placone. And then we're gonna have Robin Kincaid. Then we're gonna have Jeff Waldorf. All week we have guests, and then we're gonna have close the week with our great and wonderful Rory Boyd. And Rory is just wonderful. Rory always makes me laugh, and doing this you have to laugh. Like you have to be able to have some kind of personality when you do the show, otherwise it's just bits and pieces. And I know we're supposed to be a new show, and I have minimal stories, and because I can't see, I'm trying to lengthen them out a little bit today. So bear with me today. Today is an ordinary show because I can barely see. So I'm doing what I can for you guys. Tara calls her show therapy for the resistance, and I think that's what we are too. Because the show isn't about me. The show, the Nosey Liberal, is about you guys and bringing issues to the table and helping us all stay informed. We need to all be informed of what's going on and to know that Beto O'Rourke just gave a huge talking point away to Greg Abbott. At the very least, a huge fundraising point. Like, Greg Abbott needs more money. The right-wing transphobes have already given him like $600,000. Greg Abbott. So let's give Greg Abbott another fundraising vehicle of the ability to say Beto O'Rourke said. Beto O'Rourke said, look, this is wrong. Beto O'Rourke. A lot of people watching on my personal page today. Hi, personal page, folks. You can leave a comment in the comment section, and maybe it'll show up and I'll put it in there. But hi, personal page, folks. I don't know. Is it because I'm without my glasses? Do I look sexier without my glasses? What is it? I can barely see without my glasses. I will say it's gotten a lot better than when I first opened up my eyes and was like, "Oh my god, I can't do this." It has improved, so I've gotten used to it. I used to go without glasses all the time because stubborn and I didn't want to get my eyes checked. And then I went and got my eyes checked and I was like, "Holy shit, I can't see. I need glasses." Um and the glasses definitely help. And now I don't have my glasses for the Thom Hartmann interview at 10:30. I am doing the show blind and we're stretching stories out because then I don't have to read them and then it won't hurt so much. So we're kind of meandering through the show today. Although I will say the only technical difficulty to come across so far today has been me, so yay that. Literally the only technical difficulty to come across is the host. The host is the technical difficulty. So that's a good thing when the host is the only technical difficulty to the program. That's always nice. But you could leave a comment in the comments section and we'll display it like we do with Jim's comments and hashtag FYI Live if you want to get your comment read on air. And no call in line today because Thom Hartmann's going to call in and we're going to talk to Tom. And I can't wait. It's like talking to the smartest person in the room. It's like the best, smartest person in the room coming to you and saying, I'm going to talk to you about stuff. And we're going to talk about stuff. Yes, I'm going to talk to you about stuff. And he's going to tell us about his new book. And I can't wait. Because from what I've read in the snippets they gave me, it's a really good book and you should go get it. And who doesn't want to talk to a #1 New York Times bestseller for previous books? I love talking to Thom Hartmann. I'm in awe in his presence. And he's so good to the network. He just did an app ad for us that I have to edit a little bit, but he did an app ad for the app that you can download in the App Store, FY Nation Radio player app. You can download the app and listen to FYNation.com live 24/7, commercial free, no registration, none of that. We don't collect your information. We're not big tech junkies who want to sniff up your and sniff out your information. We don't believe in doing that. We're not some corporate giant trying to do that. So there's that. And hopefully I'll have some good news on the business front with my business today because I need it. We're going down the barrel of a gun with the Republicans right now. Where these people are just, I feel like I'm repeating myself and it's not something you haven't heard already. They are deceitful, cowardly human beings. Like, I could pick any story about Donald Trump and find where Donald Trump is just this deceitful, cowardly person. And I can pick any story about Marjorie Taylor Greene where she just has to blow things up because she's deceitful and cowardly. She needs her gun, right? She needs to blow things up to feel safe. I don't feel safe like that. Do you feel safe like that? Like, I feel safe when I have a guy like Beto O'Rourke, for all his faults, is talking about CRT. Beto O'Rourke is like, you know what, dude? You don't need that many guns. You don't need that many guns. It's really that simple. What are you doing with all those guns? You shouldn't have to have all those guns. And Beto O'Rourke tells the truth about it, and the right wing can't handle it. They go into little conniption fits. And rightly so, because they need their little guns to feel safe and protected, because their fever pitch dream of taking over the government and their fever pitch dream of just being able to go after you and own the lib at a barrel of a gun is what they really want to do. They want to own the trans person at a barrel of a gun. This is why Kyle Rittenhouse, the murderer, is so popular. Is because the murderer, Kyle Rittenhouse, did you notice that? I called him a murderer twice. I welcome your lawsuit. You want to sue me? Come at me, Kyle Rittenhouse. The murderer, Kyle Rittenhouse's gun got destroyed because he's a murderer, and it killed 2 people and injured a 3rd. Now, the court didn't find him to be a murderer, but we should not be afraid to call Kyle Rittenhouse a murderer. Jim says in the comments, and this is a great comment, is they want a fascist Christian, can't read that word, ethno-state. No glasses, my apologies. A fascist Christian ethno-state. Absolutely, Jim. They want to have total control, total totalitarianism. But they're happy to call the left fascist. They're happy to call the left totalitarian. Bill Barr just did it the other day. No feedback from Jake Tapper. Corporate media carries the water of right wingers because they need that access. Here, we don't give a damn about the access. We're happy to have people on with a brain cell between them, like Thom Hartmann, where they're smart and they don't need talking points and they don't need to be tricked or duped into Reddit forums or anything else like that. They just know their shit and they could write a book about it. And we have our Coca-Cola, which keeps us going. And I'm glad Coca-Cola had made the decision to pull out of Russia, along with McDonald's. I'm glad they did that. Then I wouldn't feel so guilty about. By the way, Pepsi was the first drink to be introduced into communist Russia. Just saying, the soda wars. It was Pepsi that wanted that commie money. So there's that. But we're getting up to the top of the hour, and at 10:30 we're gonna have Thom Hartmann on, and I can't wait. And we're stretching it a little bit today. So if you're sticking with me, I really appreciate it because this is long form talk radio. We don't just hop on a story and then hop off here. We do maybe when I have my glasses, but even when I have my glasses, we'll spend 15, 20 minutes on a good story, on a good video. We don't I could spend an hour on this Beto O'Rourke thing. Because Jim is absolutely right. The Republicans want a Christian ethno state and a fascist run. And they don't care if the trans kid commits suicide. They don't care about family values. They don't care about the newborn baby. They don't care about any of that shit that they say they whine about because it's things they don't give a shit about. They just don't care because they're evil bastards. And it's weird. It's weird doing this show without my glasses. It is very weird. But you can listen, you can watch on FYNation.com, you could watch on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Please subscribe. We're at 53 followers. We need to get to 1,000. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. I'm not asking for any money right now. I'm asking you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So go do that if you could, if you haven't already. Tell your friends to subscribe. We post up videos attacking the right wing every day. Every day we will post something up attacking the right wing that you can share with your friends and say, look, this was said, or defending the left, like saying the Keystone Pipeline is just something that moves about oil. And it's Canadian oil too, by the way. It ain't American oil. It's Canadian oil. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have more show. Thank you guys for sticking around. Flying slightly blind today, but no blinder than Beto O'Rourke talking about CRT. And that should upset everybody. We'll be right back.
Hey there, fellow working class heroes. Tune in to The Rick Smith Show every weeknight from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. That's Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. right here on commercial-free FYINation.com, your liberal lion for all things talk radio. The Rick Smith Show is commercial-free thanks to your generous donations to FYINation.com. The Rick Smith Show is where working people come to talk. You can find FYINation.com on your smart device and listen to me, Rick Smith, weeknights 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on FYINation.com. FYINation.com is communication with motivation.
Hey, this is Brad Friedman of the Bradcast. You can now listen to our show every day at 11 p.m. Eastern and again in the morning at 7 a.m. Start your day or end your night with the Bradcast. The Bradcast is commercial-free right here on FYI Nation, thanks to those of you who donate to FYI Nation's Patreon account. Thanks for listening to FYI Nation and to the Bradcast, now heard every day on FYINation.com at 11 p.m. Eastern and again at 7 a.m. FYINation.com, communication with motivation.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. Welcome to the show. Flying blind today, but I feel a lot better than when I did when I started the show. So hopefully that shows on the camera and off the camera. We're switching gears. We have a half hour until Thom Hartmann gets here, and we talk about his book, and we talk politics, and we talk things of the day. And there's lots to talk to Thom Hartmann about. And when you get the smartest person in the room, we're going to talk about some things that are like difficult to talk about. And it's going to be an interesting show. I promise you, it will be an interesting show with Thom Hartmann. You do not want to miss this show with Thom Hartmann. And you know what? You know, the only technical difficulty that we're going to have is going to be me without my glasses. So there's that. I promise you. There is that. That being said, we're going without a hitch here. The don't say gay drama. There's more don't say gay drama. Because of course there is. And this should enrage you on the left. It should actually enrage you if you're a normal human being. It shouldn't just be on the left. It should make you angry And by the way, the QR code that's up right now, use that to download our app. Use the QR code to download the app. It's right in the screen, and I'm going to take it away now. And you can download our app. This Blaze story, I find the best stories from the right wing because they tell us who they are. They tell us exactly who they are and what they're for. When they say, no, we're just average Republicans, we just want to help the families. We just want to, we want people to be in prosperity and have freedom. We don't want to harm children. We want to help children. We're not here to attack anyone for their racial beliefs or any of their other beliefs. No, we're just here for the good of people, and Jesus if he's white, and Santa Claus if he's white. And why do you got to be like that, Tom? Tom? Why do you gotta tell the truth about Republicans, Tom? Why do you gotta go on and about conservatives and Republicans and independents who won't say they're Republicans because they're cowardly bastards? Why do you gotta go on like that? Because it's true. And here we have a public school teacher in Kansas is suing a principal of her school, the district superintendent, and the members of her school board after being suspended for not using the student's preferred name. So this teacher is okay with not using the student's preferred name. For those who don't understand, when you come out as trans, you dead name your name. Some people choose to keep their dead name as their name. I don't see that often, but it is done. But typically people will pick a new name to go with their trans identity. Robin Kincaid was Bob Kincaid, and now is Robin Kincaid. I would never, and I've done this on her show, where when I didn't know that she had transitioned, and I was accidentally calling her Bob, and he him, and I didn't know, and I felt awful about it. But I wasn't like this person, Pamela Richard, math teacher, said she refused to use the preferred names and pronouns of transgender and non-binary students because it violates her religious beliefs. So your religious beliefs are violated. You then get to become, I'll just say it, a cunt to these students? Yeah, apparently she does. And the right wing is all rooting for her because we have this article that originated from CNN. CNN actually did the reporting. The Blaze copied the reporting and now is rooting for this teacher. Because she was disciplined for refusing to refer to the students by their preferred name. Miss Richard filed a lawsuit against Gary County Schools and the Unified School District. In the lawsuit, Ms. Richard argues the school administrators prevented her from ignoring students' preferred names and pronouns, deprived her of the process of equal protection under the law. So your equal protection under the law is more important than who the students actually are, is what I'm saying. Your selfish and self-righteousness is more important than who and what the students say they are. I don't know any other word than cunt. It's not the nicest word, but find me another word, please. Hashtag FY Live. Find me another word. Your deeply held religious beliefs, religious freedom, Jim says. Got to have that religious freedom. Got to have that moral authority. I'm just thinking of the kids. They don't really want to be trans. I'm thinking of the children. No, you're thinking of yourself. You're being selfish. You're being self-righteous. You don't give a damn about the kids. Republicans or this woman do not give a damn about these kids. They don't care. So they go around, my religious freedom, I've been hurt. According to Miss Richards' lawsuit, the first time she ignored a student's preferred name, the principal sent an email addressing all of the school's teachers and said, when a student that requests to go by a preferred name that is different than their given name, our district honors their requests. Once you are aware of the preferred name, use that name for the student. Richard also received several reminders to use a student's preferred name and pronouns, often referring to a biologically female student as Miss Student's last name. Miss Richards was suspended 3 days with pay. Her suspension alleged that she violated District 11 policies, including rules on bullying and diversity and inclusion. Good! She should be suspended. She should be. Look, she is a bully. My religious freedom is more important than your preferred pronouns and who you say you are. That's a bully. I don't know anything else but a bully. Make. Like this shouldn't be an argument. It should be, okay, they're saying their preferred pronouns and name is this. I'm going to say this because I'm a respectful human being. Jim says deliberate misgendering is incredibly cruel. Exactly. And they are okay with that on the right. They are okay with that. It's not a joke to them. It is real. A real harm they are willing to pull on transgender kids and people. A real harm. And it should madden you. It should anger you. It should infuriate you. Forget if you're uncomfortable because they're gay or transgender. Forget that part. Forget that part that they're gay and transgender. Let's just throw in the part that they don't care about your choice. They are dismissive of you as a human being. Republicans are dismissive of you as a human being, so they don't particularly want to govern you. They don't want anything to do with you, and they hope you die. Because their religious freedom. Oh, and by the way, you're not going to heaven, too. Where white Jesus is and white Santa Claus. This should anger every American, but instead it's barely a blip on the radar. The Republicans want to dismiss you as a person if you have different beliefs from them. I don't know how totalitarian you get than that. And forget about the worst ones are not the ones doing it. The worst ones are the Republicans that are, okay, I'm going to get these people's votes and I'm not going to say anything bad about these people. They're not willing to root it out of their party. So that makes them, the Republicans, as bad as the Republicans actually doing it. In fact, the go-abouters, the go-about Republicans who are okay with diminishing trans people and don't say gay and everything else, and in the Republican Party, and just see it as flawed parts of the Republican Party, but are continuing to be a Republican Party because of low taxes, are worse than the Republicans doing it because those Republicans are willing to give it a pass for their shitty fucking taxes. I'll say again, they're worse. So I am no longer, I've taken a stand. I'm no longer giving the pass to the so-called better Republicans. They are collaborators. They're collaborators in the Republican Party if they're willing to just give it a pass. Oh, but they're going to give me low taxes. And they're going to stop inflation. They're going to stop inflation. And they're going to let people they're going to let people be free. Can we just be free? Religious freedom. Well, what about the freedom to be your own gender choice? To have your own. I'm non-binary. Tom Reynolds is non-binary. Do I care anymore if you refer to me as a man or a woman? No. Do I prefer they, them? Yes. I do prefer they, them. But am I going to go batshit crazy on you if you say he or she? No. Because to me, it's not that, it doesn't make me less than or anything else if you refer to me as that, because I am sometimes a he, I am sometimes a she in feeling. I am sometimes very feminine. When I'm around this one particular person, I am more effeminate than usual. Because that's how I feel comfortable being with them. When I am with another person, I am more male than usual. Because that's how I feel comfortable with them. It's a spectrum. It's never one, it's not one, oh, I'm going to pin the tail on that donkey thing with me. Hashtag FYI Live if you want to tweet the show or send us a message today. You can in the chat room, as Jim has been doing, which is awesome. Thank you for staying with the program. Thom Hartmann is going to be on the program at 10:30. But we're talking about gender identity and how this teacher is suing her school district in Kansas because, oh my God, religious freedom. She's negating the freedom of the kids to have their freedom because her freedom is more important. She's saying my freedom of religion is more important than your freedom of choice because you have chosen this route, because this is who you identify as. And this makes you whole. My freedom is more important. How selfish is that? How selfish is that? What, does she not understand trauma? And perhaps she does, and she's okay to inflict it on others. You cannot have a conversation with these people. They are irrational thinkers. They do not think critically. It took me a long time to come to that conclusion. But you cannot have a conversation with these people. They classify us as enemies. Jim writes, Christian Dominus thinks they have divine permission to convert and or crush heathens. Yes. Convert or crush. And they wonder why the aliens haven't come and visited us, yes. Is there any wonder why the aliens have not landed on our planet? Like, do you have to honestly think about why R2D2 has not come down and landed on our planet? What if R2D2 has preferred fucking pronouns that these right-wingers won't use? For fuck's sake. It drives me insane. And as somebody who's non-binary, I don't like wearing it on my sleeve. Because I don't want to be, Tom, the non-binary person. There goes the advocate. I don't see myself as an advocate for trans rights. But I guess it's kind of what I've become. Is an advocate. Like, I'm a very unwilling advocate. I'm a very unwilling advocate for trans rights. And the reason I'm so unwilling is I don't want to get hurt by someone. Not that I don't want to do it. I want to live. I don't want to put my neck out. Because I'm afraid I'll get killed as a trans activist. I'm afraid that somebody will hate me just because of that and put a bullet to my skull. Or somebody in my family. And that mortifies me. And that's why I could never put myself out there as a trans advocate. Because people are cruel, like this Richard woman. Miss Richard's faith teaches her that God, immutable, creates each person, male or female, the lawsuit states. So, you can't have a choice. My religious beliefs say you can't have a choice. Fuck you. Giant fuck you. I continue to enjoy teaching my students day in and day out, but the stigma of being officially labeled as a bully for simply using a student's enrolled last name has been disheartening. I love all my students. That's a line of bullshit. If you loved all of your students, lady, you wouldn't be having this lawsuit. But I shouldn't be forced to contradict my core beliefs in order to teach math in a public school. I shouldn't be forced. I'm being forced. I'm being forced. They're forcing me. This is why I need to take up arms against the government. I need to take up arms. They're forcing me. They're really mean. Tom, they're really mean to me. I need to file a lawsuit. I need to go after them. They're really mean. I can't handle the truth of somebody's pronouns because of Jesus. Something strikes me that Jesus would be like, okay, cool, whatever. I have this feeling that Jesus, the brown Jesus, the Jesus I know, the Jesus I know would be like, yeah, what the fuck ever. What are you even talking about? Pronouns. What are your pronouns? Why do I care about your pronouns? I care about how you are as a human being. Are you a fucking jackass or not? That's what I care about. I'm Jesus fucking Christ. That's what I think Jesus would be like. I think Jesus would be like, pronouns. Are you fucking kidding me? Critical race theory. Are you fucking kidding me? This is what you're arguing about? You're not talking about how to get to enlightenment. You're talking about how people can be attacked by other people? I love this comment from Jim. How insecure is your face that using somebody's preferred pronouns threatens it? She needs to tithe a little bit more. Clearly, she is not tithing enough. It's hatred, man. It's hatred, and to dismiss it, the Republicans as not cheerleaders of each other or not giving each other a pass, whether it's John McCain or Mitt Romney or Glenn Beck or Lance Walnew, as all the same. They're all the same, man. They're right wing. They don't care. They think the digital thing is going to come into their DNA and rapture them. Fuck. They're so low information, and they're trying to be these heavyweights. And they're lightweights. They are lightweight. They are lightweight. And I don't think an alien would give a shit about your preferred pronoun. Not the way they pro that ass, from what I hear. But oh my God. This is where we're at, folks. This is where we're at. We're at a guy who is like, nah, I shouldn't be teaching CRT in schools when it's not taught in Texas schools. Not for nothing. So the faux outrage shouldn't even be a thing. And then we have this woman in Kansas. Kansas is trying to do the district is trying to do the right thing. Use their pronoun. Don't bully. Don't belittle. But I'm not a bully. I'm not belittling. I mean, going with my religious faith. Don't you want me to have my religious faith? I want to have my religious faith. Why can't I have my religious faith? Are you kidding me? My religious faith says that I can bully another human being by not using their preferred pronoun or their name that they chose because they refuse to acknowledge what they don't see themselves as? Are you fucking kidding me? Come on, man. Give me a break, as Joe Biden would say. We need to do better. There has to be a way. And coming up in a few minutes, Thom Hartmann, I'm going to have to ask him about this because he has Republicans and conservatives on his show, and I'm dying to ask him. So I'm just going to ask him. And if he never comes on my show again, he never comes on my show again. But, I'm going to have to ask him the quick question. Is it time we stop giving Republicans a pass? Is it time we stop giving Republicans a pass? We can believe in nuance and not give Republicans a pass. It took me a while to come to that conclusion, but we can do that. I'll say again, we can believe in nuance and not give Republicans a pass. We can understand that, a Marjorie Taylor Greene is not as bad as another Republican. You name it, I don't know one off the top of my head, but you pick the Republican. But they're all collaborators. Jim says, I think the Republicans have replaced their humanist value system with a capitalist value system. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it gives them a pass. And the chief guy to do that, the chief guy who gave them a pass in this was Donald J. Trump. Art of the deal himself. And I'm missing my glasses. Oh, I hate not having my glasses. I feel naked without them. So I hope I'm doing a good show for you guys. I really do. Because I'm really uncomfortable right now without my glasses. Jim says exploit, destroy, subjugate, and compete. Do not cooperate. Excellent point. Excellent point, Jim. These are the Republicans of today. And by the way, the Republicans of yesterday were doing it to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So they haven't. It's to say that they were never the same, that the Republicans were never the same in their behavior, to be a complete and total jackass, is a pass to all the Democratic people who fought for Social Security and Medicare and the Voting Rights Act. These Republicans were just as bad as the Republicans now. They just didn't have social media showing us how bad they were, so they got to be in the closet. So I'm going to also stop saying this line that the Republicans get a pass with. This, oh, the old-fashioned Republicans weren't like this. The olden days Republicans weren't Frank Luntz's. They weren't like this. That is bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. Republicans of yesterday are exactly the same as the Republicans of today. In fact, Republicans of yesterday were much more cruel. Republicans of today are able to mask it better. That's why I'm no longer a Republican. I cannot be a Republican. Why would you want to be a person who is okay with dominion over other people because Jesus? Why would you want to be that person? What sane person is, oh, Jesus, gotta go to Jesus. Gotta go to Jesus. What sane person? Just sending out a tweet here. Thom Hartmann visits the show shortly. FYI. And we're not going to have any tech issues. Everything's going to go well with Thom Hartmann coming on the show. And the only tech issue we're going to have is that I can't see. I cannot wait to have Thom Hartmann on the show. I just can't wait. And Tom is actually here. And let's add him on. Tom, welcome to the program. Can you hear me okay?
Thank you. I hear you fine.
Great. No technical issues. I produce and do everything for FYNation.com myself. And when we are not having technical issues, it's a good day. The only technical issues we have is I woke up with losing my glasses. So I can barely see.
Okay.
So
Tom?
Welcome to the Nosey Liberal, Tom.
Nosey Liberal Tom. Okay. Great. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. And so let's talk about your book. I have a number of questions for you, but you came on to talk about your book, and your book is The Hidden History of Big Brother in America: How the Death and Privacy and the Rise of Surveillance Threaten the U.S. and Our Democracy. And I guess which is worse? Is it government interference and spying, or is it corporations, or is it co-equal, or are they intertwined? Which do you see as the bigger enemy in all of this?
Well, it's sort of like saying, would you rather die of a heart attack or cancer?
Mhm.
They're both problematic, and in some ways, maybe that, to torture that analogy, they also interact with each other or can amplify the effects of each other. I in the book I split up the two different. Actually, I add a third one, which is kind of our, the political big brother, as it were. But it's basically about government big brother on the one hand, which is kind of Patriot Act stuff, generally speaking, and what we see happening around the world, whether it's in China or Singapore or where, Russia right now, and then also corporate big brother, which usually is hand in glove with corporate big brother, as we saw, for example, when Ed Snowden released all that information that was sold to us as being from the NSA. Oh my, holy cow, NSA whistleblower. He didn't work for the NSA. He worked for a private contractor. And, in fact, private contractors can do a lot of things that it's illegal for government to do, and they can hide things after the fact in ways the government can't hide because of the Freedom of Information Act. And so increasingly you find, autocratic governments, or even just, American government, using that shield, that corporate shield, to hide behind.
Well, and goes to my next question. These companies, the Israeli company that was outed and making this app where you can basically touch it and it infects your phone, and then it's a spy device for governments to look into. Is that kind of like what you're talking about, where government seeks out these companies to do their dirty work? They don't make the technology, they just happen to use it, and that makes it equally as evil because this company is then getting rich off of the product that they've made for the government to use.
Well, yeah, that would be one example. And I'm, we need to acknowledge that there are times when it is reasonable and legal, when there's due process involved, for government to actually spy on people. I mean,
Yeah,
there are bad people among us. There are criminals
yeah.
among us. There are war criminals among us. But that said, yeah, it's very much that sort of thing. And another example, I think, Tom, would be the Stingray devices. I didn't even know these things existed until the mid 2000s. I was living in Washington D.C. and my radio studio was down at 14th at K Street, and so I'd walk by the White House on my way home down to the marina every day, and I mean literally right in front of the White House. And starting about the middle of the Obama administration, every time I walked by the White House, my phone would get hot, and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. Why is my phone getting hot when I'm within 2 blocks of the White House? And then it cools down on the other side of that walk, and it's lost 20-30% of its power. And turns out it came out in the news that there were Stingray devices around the White House. Nobody knew who put them there. Nobody knew why. The assumption was it was probably our own government, but nobody was sure, and or at least in the press. And the way a Stingray works is it's like a little computer, a box, and on one side of it, it connects to a cell tower and acquires the ability to deliver telephone calls and internet data from that cell tower. And on the other side of it, it has an antenna, and it pretends to be a cell tower. And your phone is constantly looking for the nearest cell tower so it can get the best quality signal for you. So as you're walking by a Stingray, your phone links to it, thinking it's hooking up to Verizon or T-Mobile or whatever. And in fact, it's talking to a Stingray. And the Stingray then passes your data through to the phone company, whether it's browse your web browser on your phone or the phone call you're making. But it also can record it all or just reroute it to a third party. And so they're very, very effective spy devices. And now we discover that police agencies all over the country are using them. Governments around the world are using them. And there are no really good regulations, at least in the United States, for these devices. I mean, they're way ahead of us in Europe on this regard. But here in the U.S., it's the wild, wild west.
Do you think that, going back to your book, do you think that when we open up knowledge like what you're doing with your book, and people are learning about the capabilities, we will get more laws through Congress? Or do you think our Congress is too divided at this point to construct laws to fight this, because it's the dirty little secret that they, both sides, whether Democratic or Republican, want to be able to have this type of information and use it to have keeping themselves in power, whether it be the Obamas or the Donald Trumps of the world. They're happy
Well,
to have it.
yeah, there's two dimensions to that, and in a large way, it's a tough question to answer. It's where we're going to go with this. Here's the problem. The big problem isn't just that one party or the other is a fan of spying on people. And it's not that the spy technology is out of control or, has just, gone completely nuts. Whenever we talk about trying to use government to, at least in the United States, to deal with issues like this or other large and consequential issues like climate change and corruption and things, we have to deal with the fact that the United States Supreme Court legalized political bribery in a small way in 1976 in the Buckley versus Vallejo decision, and in 1978 in the First National Bank versus Bellotti decision, authored by Lewis Powell. The Supreme Court said that after 200 years of saying that when politicians were owned by rich people, that was called bribery or corruption. We're no longer going to call it that. We're going to call it First Amendment protected free speech. And then in 2010, they nailed that all together and put a big bow around it and said, by the way, corporations are people and money is speech. And so you've got now, I don't think this is so much true of companies that make stingray devices, but you've got now big tech companies that are, that basically own politicians left and right, and have the ability to own politicians that they don't already own if they want. If a real fight comes that they're gonna engage with,
Sure.
and as long as as long as America finds itself in that situation where political bribery has been not just decriminalized but elevated by 5 corrupt Republicans on the U.S. Supreme Court, the Citizens United decision, we're going to be bound by those Republican donors, those petro-billionaires and right-wing oligarchs who fund the GOP and who fund so much of our right-wing media. And whether it's 1,500 right-wing talk radio stations across the country, 400 Spanish language now right-wing talk radio stations around the country, right-wing networks like billionaire Murdoch's Fox News or et cetera. That as long as we're confronting these right-wing billionaires who've been completely empowered by 5 Republicans on the U.S. Supreme Court, we're going to have a challenge dealing with these things. And so it's hard to put it in a partisan frame, by the way. I mean, one of the better books on the dangers of government surveillance and also on Section 230, which I think is worth discussing, Tom, was written by John Pauley, for God's sake. I mean, this is not an entirely one side issue, Democratic issue. It's, particularly ever since big tech decided to take down Donald Trump, with regard to Facebook and his presence on Facebook and Twitter, the right wing has been going, what? So,
yeah. Well, and that's the thing where I was going to you next, because we have so many, like FYNation.com is a blip in the spectrum of the bucket when it comes to our little progressive corner. And then thank you so much for that recent video you did for our app. I really appreciate that. It took us about 5 years just to get an app, so we don't have any Mercer money. That being said, do we do ourselves harm when we invite, and you have right wingers on the show, even if we have a topic that we agree with, do we do ourselves harm when we give them another microphone when they have so many already, when they can go to OAN or Newsmax or Fox News? Are we doing a disservice, even if we might be helping, like the information you're trying to put out about Big Brother and Big Tech? Are you or I, in our sense as talk show hosts, helping a right-wing narrative along when we really shouldn't be? Where do you come down on that? Because I'm to the point where I used to be a right-winger and I changed. And I've called you in your show years ago when I lived in Michigan. But it took me a process to get out of that thinking. Um, should we only have people who are willing to have some kind of a change, or where should we stop the buck with right wingers on our shows and our network and places, our safe spaces, basically, for liberals?
Sure. No, I totally get it. And it's a huge topic, Tom, and one that every time I have a right winger on my show provokes a lot of, conversation, shall we say, on social media and in our own chat room. And from my point of view, I mean, this is just my perspective on this, having done this show for 18, 19 years now. There are only really two reasons that I would have conservatives on the show. And I try to get, when I have conservatives on the show, or reactionaries or whatever you want to call them, it has to fall into these two criteria. One, almost all of us have right wingers in our lives, whether it's crazy Uncle Ralph at Thanksgiving, or the guy who sits next to us at work, or just the person that we encounter standing in line at the grocery store. We all, you can't get away from it. It's half the country, or a third of the country anyway. Liberals are a third.
Although sometimes it seems like half because of the talking points.
Yeah. Well, they're very loud. So my two criteria are: number one, can I model behavior that my listeners will be able to use when confronting people like this, so that they can get a message across, whether it's heard or not, so they can get a message across and not leave blood on the floor. At the end of Thanksgiving, Uncle Ralph is still Uncle Ralph, and you still love him, even though he's a right-wing crackpot because he's been watching Fox News. So number one, I try to model, good debating, good respect of human being behavior in the context of politics. That's not something everybody can do. It's something that I learned to do as a kid because my father was a Republican and who loved politics and constantly was engaging me in debates. And I was there with him until I was 13 or 14 years old. In fact, when I was in 1964, I was 13. I went door to door with my dad for Barry Goldwater. Within 2 years, I was, I was getting tear gassed in East Lansing, Michigan, in anti-war protests as part of the SDS. So I have that experience of disagreeing strongly with somebody who I dearly loved. And so, that lifetime of experience has served me well, I think, in doing that. Not everybody can do that, number one. And number two, I think it's really important that all of us hear the right-wing talking points and hear a rational rebuttal to them, so that we can use those, even not in interactions with the right-wingers, but in the things that we're saying to others, in articles we're writing, in stories we're telling, in anecdotes we're sharing, in bumper stickers we're putting on our cars, whatever it may be. You have to know your enemy, as it were. It is Clausewitz's first rule of war. And
No, that you're absolutely right. And in fact, I want to point out that I agree with you, because most of my show prep, when I do show prep for the show, and my audience goes crazy over this, I go to Breitbart and I go to The Blaze first for show prep to talk about what their right-wing drivel will be. And typically Fox News will have it on their show the following week or during the course of that day to do the whataboutism. And we're like, well, we already covered that. So I totally agree with that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the two reasons. I don't do it gratuitously.
Sure.
And I'm down now to having conservatives on 2 or 3 times a month, whereas when we started the program back in 2003, I was having conservatives on 2 or 3 times a week, and because back then, they weren't as nuts as they are now.
No,
And B, the country was actually engaged in serious policy debates about neoliberalism, about, Reaganism. And it still was considered respectable to say that we should privatize Social Security and we should end Medicare and we should do away with the social safety net and all that kind of stuff. I think that the ground has shifted substantially in the nearly 20 years since I started that. And I've been dialing back steadily on conservatives on the program to now where, I've just got 2 or 3 that I'll invite. Well, I had last week, I had the co-founder of the trucker convoy in Washington, D.C. on.
Yeah.
And, I started out saying, the rest of us see what you're doing as pathetic, and it was an interesting conversation. Increasingly I'm concerned that it's not doing what it used to do. And so I'm, we're having conversations about that.
Well, and plus, I go back to the point. They have such a big, huge platform where they can go anywhere, and your platform, like to promote your book and everything else, is it's so small because there aren't a lot of liberal places and progressive places that you can go. I mean, I think I'm the only other morning show other than Stephanie Miller that's out there that's doing a morning show. And I did that by choice, by design, not because I want to attack Stephanie Miller. I think what she does is great, but because I wanted to have a different type of conversation in the morning other than just jokes, because I think you could,
Stephanie does a great job, but choices are good. I mean, we all need competition. It helps us fine tune our craft too.
Yeah, exactly. And she helps me. And you do, because you present. I called you the professor earlier because I see myself when I listen and watch your show, when I listen on FYINation.com every day at noon, commercial free, by the way. We don't take any money for it because I just can't. I feel like I'm paying penance for being a Republican. We need to broaden a landscape that is just so diminished. And you putting your book out, especially, how do you like our tagline is communication with motivation for the network. And I try to motivate my audience to be participatory in social media and kind of attack it the way the right does, but with kindness as opposed to like a gun. What would your suggestion to be to get your message out more? And because you're so kind to be willing to come on my show, and which is new and everything else, and you don't have to, what do you tell other progressives and other liberals who are trying to get a sustained message out to get past the noise of OAN and Newsmax and then the social media big tech? What do you say to those people who are trying to do that?
I'm not a big fan of giving advice, but I can speak for myself. I'm at a point in my life where I feel like whatever I can do to save the world, essentially, and I mean that literally. I mean, we're looking at climate change that could end all life on Earth. We're looking at nuclear war that could do the same. And then 1,000 smaller distortions and destructions, on the way down. I'm just not willing to goof off anymore. I typically work an 11-hour day, and it's because I have this opportunity to do it. I'm still alive. My heart's still beating. I can still talk. One day soon, that's not going to be the case. And so, and I don't mean my demise is imminent, but this is the human condition.
Sure. And that's going to be the Breitbart headline, though, isn't it?
Right. But, the bottom line is that we all have this, I believe, this obligation, and to heal the world, tikkun olam, this deep obligation as part of our humanity. And so, for me, it's my writing and the radio program and TV program that I do. Each one of us has to find our own way. I mean, for some people, it's being a good neighbor and friend, or being an extraordinary parent, or even a mediocre parent. But it's parenting. For other people, it's other things. I think we all had to find our own way, but I think increasingly the imperative isn't just to find satisfaction in having done something for its own sake. I realize that there's a lot of value in that, and I don't want to get into debating Buddhism, but I do think that doing things in the context of trying to save and preserve this planet and the human race and all other life on this earth really has to be something that we front load. It has to be front and center. It has to be something that we prioritize.
So, back to your book before I let you go. I have one question for you. What would be the biggest takeaway that somebody should get and glean from your book, this new book that you've written, and what you want to leave people with that maybe they put their thinking caps on and look at it in a different light, where that their perspective made, like when I became a democratic socialist, their perspective totally changed. If there's something in your book that maybe even a Republican can be like, oh my God, this is the thing. What is there anything in there that you can maybe point out to us in that direction?
Well, one of the things I tried to do with the book is sensitize people to what internet-based warfare could be like, and that's the most extreme end of a spectrum that includes corporate spying on us and government spying on us. But that's where dams can be opened and towns can be drowned and electricity can be shut off to cities and just a whole spectrum of horrible
Sure.
things. Number one, I wanted to flag that for people, and how that all works. Another is just, the importance of understanding how the internet works, and particularly the Internet of Things, and so that we can make smarter and wiser decisions with regard to our own personal privacy. And then, I think that there's a larger issue about Section 230 and in the telecommunications law that got changed in 1996. Prior to 1996, if you had put a sign out in front of your house, well, even today by law, if you put a sign out in front of your house on a Saturday afternoon that says, "Come on in, Saturday night, big party, everybody welcome," and left the front door wide open, and Saturday night about midnight, your house is full of skeezy people doing awful stuff. There's, somebody getting raped in one of the bedrooms. There's somebody shooting heroin in the other bedroom. They're doing a illegal porno movie display in the kitchen, and the police kick in the door. You would go to jail for hosting that party, for tolerating criminal conduct in your home.
Yep.
And that goes back to British law in the 10th century, literally. I mean, back to the Castle Doctrine. And in 1996, Congress passed a law called the Telecommunications Act of 1996, Section 230, that specifically said there's one exception to that rule. And that is if you build a house on the internet and you invite rapists and child pornographers and drug dealers into that house, and they conduct open crime, even terrorists, and they conduct open crimes, you have no liability whatsoever. Nobody can come after you. You have complete immunity. And immediately after that, Mark Zuckerberg became one of the richest people in the world.
Yep.
And this is something that we need to do something about. I think I might have mentioned earlier, Josh Hawley wrote one of the better books on this. It's who's the right wing crackpot from Missouri who wants to be president.
Yeah.
It's not just Democrats who are concerned about this. But we've got to do something about Section 30, and we've got to do something about some of these giant monopolies in the information space.
Thank you, Thom Hartmann. You are definitely the professor, and you are literally our first guest of this year. And I want to thank you again for putting up with my technical failing of losing my glasses. So thank you for that. I really appreciate appreciate that, and, thank you for being there for so many liberals and lefties like me who are trying to find common ground even with Republicans and doing it on a regular basis, and you're a brilliant author, and everybody should check out your new books and your old books for that matter. So, thank you again for coming on the program and spending a little bit more time than you had originally projected. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Tom. It's been an honor and a pleasure to hang out with you. And good
Thank
luck with the show.
Thank you, Tom. You have a great day.
Thanks. You too.
So that was the amazing Thom Hartmann. That went well. Um, I'm shocked at how well. I've got to take a deep breath. Tom has to take a Tom didn't remember the last time we talked, but I had a different show. But um, Jim says that was an excellent interview. And Tara Buster says nice. Um, I and great interview. I was scared out of my mind not having my glasses, and I think I did great. And I think I just let it flow like you normally did. I did. See, when I do an interview with somebody, I got to remember Tara's a contributor, so Tara understands this. She's been with us for a long time. I do an interview like Larry King. I have maybe one question that I want to ask that I really want to get pulled out, and the rest I'm gonna let flow out of the person. I'm gonna let them just tell me what they want to tell and go on a binge. And I was scheduled for a half hour with Tom. He went what what is it now? He went um the whole hour with me. I was scheduled for a half hour. And he has a show coming on in an hour. He had show prep to do. And Thom Hartmann gave us time, and this is what I ask my audience. I just need your time. I don't need money. I need your time. I need you to tell people about the show. I need people to understand that we're out there, that we're fighting the good fight, that we want people to have a better standing of what's going on. And I need people to see that this is a relevant, as I said, safe space for liberals. We may not always agree. You could disagree with me completely. It's all a learning process. There are things I disagree with Tom on, but I didn't need to bring him on the show. And just like we'll have Ron Placone on tomorrow at 10:30, Ron will be with us. I disagree with Ron Placone on certain things, but that does not mean I'm going to have a fight with him on the air because I want him back. I want to have a meaningful conversation, and it does me no good to beat up a guest when they're giving me their most precious thing. And their most precious thing that they're giving me is their time. And I come across that with every interview I do. That's why I get so scared when I do these, because I realize the most valuable thing that I am getting from this person. And the most valuable thing that I am getting from this person is the man's time. Thom Hartmann is just everything that I said. And Tara says Thom Hartmann is a national treasure, the real deal. I can't imagine fighting the fascist coup without him. That's for sure. And that's what we need to do. And he's a lot of the reason why I continued FYINation.com. Tara Devlin is too. Not for nothing. Because I can't do this alone. We're all on fighting an incredible army of right wingers who want to do us and this nation harm. And for us to do well, we have to fight against the tyranny of the right. They talk about the tyranny of the left all the time because they're projecting. And it's all a massive fraud. And I'm so grateful to have someone like Thom Hartmann be willing to come on the program and just give me his time. And it went so well. And it was nothing I did. It was everything he did. And that's why I love doing these interviews. And tomorrow we're going to have Ron Placone. And the next day we're going to have we're going to have Robin Kincaid. And the next day we're going to have Jeff Waldorf. So we have them for the half hour. Maybe we get more time. Thom came in early and we went with it for much longer than we thought. And I felt guilty because here is a man who does a 3-hour show. And by the way, not for nothing, I work with his team for FYNation.com. He takes time out of his show for us, a little ass network. So if he can do it for us, you can do it for us. That's your motivation today. You guys are my motivation for every day to get up and do this show. Like, I was nervous about getting up and getting out of bed today and how am I going to do this and everything else. And then the glasses thing happened and something turned on for me. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do this interview and I'm going to ask my one question that I have. And I'm going to let Thom have the flow of the show. And he gave us more time than was originally allotted. And I'm going into over our break time. This is the Nosey Liberal with Thom Reynolds. We need people who are going to fight the fight. We need to support our influencers, especially our younger influencers. We need to get them out there. We need to get them focused. And the only way I can do that is with your help. By you telling people about this show. Like I told Thom Hartmann, we are a drop in the bucket when it comes to this show. And you guys are my motivators to do 3 hours because I think a long format where we have a discussion of the issues and we frame the narrative. See, that's the thing about this show. The Nosey Liberal, we frame the damn narrative. We don't let the Republicans trap us into a narrative like they trapped Beto O'Rourke of CRT is a bad thing. We do not do that here. We frame the narrative to get out there and have a conversation that's meaningful. And Thom was exactly right. And I should have counted him a little bit more when I talked about the right-wing crazies because they were still crazy. And I made that point earlier, but I didn't want to drum it into him because I didn't want to have an argument with him. But I thought that if we could get across why he does that and has right-wingers on his platform is a good way to go. Because we need to have discussion. But it has to be a meaningful discussion. And we have to find a way where we're not amplifying their voice. Because they can go to OAN, they can go to Newsmax, they can go to The Blaze, they can go to Breitbart, they can go to InfoWars, they can go to, look how many places I named that they can go to. What can morning people and liberals go to? Morning people and liberals can go to the Stephanie Miller Show and the Nosey Liberal. Name me another morning show that's progressive and liberal. I'll wait. There's a market to be cornered here. And we are going to do it. And it's going to take some time, yes. But I have all the time in the world. I keep taking my meds. And don't get too much agita from the right wing. We're going to do this every day. And if we have great shows like this, where the only technical difficulty is that I don't have my glasses, oh my God, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. And then maybe we could get to the show where me and Tara Devlin just talk about The Sopranos. I would love to do that show. Where we just talk about The Sopranos. And we just have a conversation about that. I would love to get to that point, but we're nowhere near there. As long as there, look, I want to build hidden gem, and I wanted to talk about Thom. He's one of the first invites that I invite to the pack, but I want to build an FYI pack. I'm serious. In 2022, I'm going to build an FYI pack, and we'll find a state that we can have it in. I'm thinking Texas. I'm thinking we have it in Texas, and we get everybody to Texas, maybe Austin, and we have a conference. Because, okay, Netroots kind of does a good job, but we need more pressure on these people. And if AF Pack can do it, why not FYI Pack? And what we're giving out is information. And by the way, not for nothing, we should on the Democratic side be funding stations everywhere on YouTube, on getting ourselves on satellite radio. We should be doing this. We need to do this. And if I could be the Rupert Murdoch of the left, I will be. That's something I could happily. And if I get shot, like I was talking about being a trans activist, so be it. I think we need other places. We're gonna have next week. We're gonna have. Speaking of other places, we're gonna have Matt McNeil from AM 950 on. He's a liberal talker in Minnesota. We're gonna have Desi Doyen on the program. We're gonna have Brad Friedman on the program. Tara says, if I didn't have my glasses, I would be blind. Me, it's not so much blind as it hurts. Like doing this really, really hurts. I have to look for my glasses when I get off air. Like this is like I'm in so much pain around. It's like I feel like I'm being bombed by Russians. Like they're bombing me right here in the eye socket. It really hurts. But I'm going to put this show up with Thom Hartmann because I think it was a great interview. Worst case scenario, I go and get new ones. I'm probably due a new pair, but I will find them. I people like Tara Devlin, people like Thom Hartmann, people like Stephanie Miller, people like Cenk Uygur. We need a coalition to go after the right. W talked about the coalition of the willing when he went after Iraq, and how we need a coalition of the willing, coalition of the brave. That's what we need to be. We need to be the coalition of the brave. We need to be willing to stand up and say, no, we're not going to take this bullshit anymore. Or as Jean-Luc Picard said in Star Trek Picard, I'm too old for your shit, Q. Great line. Oh, I love the new Picard. I love the new series, by the way. Only in my lifetime do I get 2 Star Treks on air at the same time. And that's the future I want, by the way, not for nothing. I talk about Star Trek so much because that's the future I want. I want a future where there is no poverty, where I don't have to be worried about homeless people in New York City being shot by a serial killer. Did you know there's a serial killer killing homeless people in Washington, D.C. and New York? I bet you didn't. Because they're homeless people and they don't matter. But there's a serial killer out there. And there's a $50,000 fine, or a $50,000 reward, to catch this guy. This serial killer. I need people on this show, on this network, to open the doors for it. That's the only way we're going to, like, communication with motivation. The only Yes, there's a serial killer in New York City. They are killing homeless people, and it's not just they've killed 2 homeless people in DC, or 1 in DC and 2 in New York City, and maybe a 3rd person, but they're not sure if the 3rd person is tied to the serial killer. And they're shooting in the head homeless people. This should be national news. There's a regional serial killer. But again, they're homeless. Do they matter? No. And it should piss everybody off. But homeless people are throwaway people. You don't care about homeless people. Unless they're panhandling for money, then you want to get them off the streets, if you're Republicans. The things you learn from this show. And I heard that on the radio. I listened to 1010 Wins on my Alexa, and so there's that. Let's see. Are we sure it's not Giuliani? Well, he could finally gone off his rocker. You never know. A drunk Giuliani menace, or what's his face? Curtis Sliwa, that douche canoe. That guy. I gotta try and stop using douchebag and douche canoe. I love the word. My daughter calls me a douche canoe, by the way. Not for nothing. But it's a term of endearment. But do check out Thom Hartmann's book, Big Brother in America: The Hidden History of Big Brother in America, How the Death of Privacy and the Rise of Surveillance Threaten U.S. and our Democracy. I got to skim through the book, and it's a really good book. Or share the interview when I post it up. Let people know about the interview. I love doing interviews. My favorite thing next to taking calls is doing interviews. I love just like, what do you think about that? What makes you wonder about how this is? I like getting inside people's minds and sharing their time with them. Because like I said earlier, the most valuable thing Thom Hartmann could give me is his time. And Thom Hartmann was amazing with his time. And Thom Hartmann is always amazing to this network. So there's that. There is a serial killer in New York City. And I should stress, a regional serial killer in Washington, D.C. and New York City, killing homeless people. Fox News likes to talk about crime all the time in Democrat-ran cities. You would think this would be national news. But again, homeless person, it doesn't matter so much. It's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. No wonder I watch Law and Order to make myself feel better, because I want to see some Law and Order going on and make myself feel better. What we need going forward, I'll tell you what we need going forward. We need to be strong. We need to stand together. Even if we disagree, like I have hosts out there on the YouTubes, on the liberal side, like Jimmy Dore, that I don't necessarily agree with all the time, but he does make good points. And I would rather stand with somebody like Jimmy Dore than I would like to stand with somebody like, let's see, Buck Sexton on the right. You know, I think you can have a more meaningful conversation with somebody on the left that you agree with, and find an avenue to fight the right, than somebody on the right who wants to own you. Their sole mission on the right is to own the libs. How can you? And that was going to be a question to Tom. How can you have a debate with somebody who wants to own you? But I didn't feel comfortable enough having that argument with him because I didn't want to go there. And he kind of said the answer. Well, I had family, and I don't want to leave them with a bloody nose. See, oh my God, I talk about this with Tara Devlin all the time on her show. That's what I talk about, the difference between us and them. The difference between liberals and progressives and the Democratic Party leaning side, and the difference between the right wingers. The right wingers want to give you a bloody nose at all costs. And I have a runny nose, of course. My apologies. My medication. The right wingers want to give you a bloody nose at all costs, where the Democratic side wants to give you a leg up. Like, look at the whole Eric Adams. I didn't think I'd like him, but he's growing on me. Eric Adams, mayor of New York City, is growing on me. He is starting this police force out there with unmarked cars to go around New York City because of crime. But what he's doing differently than Giuliani and Mike Bloomberg is he's making it known that these people are cops. Like, the minute they jump out of their unmarked vehicles, you're going to know that you're going to know that they're cops. And that approach I'm okay with. Because I want to know that somebody approaching me that just jumped out of a car to say, hey, show me your identity and show me who you are and blah, 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 blah. I want to know is a cop and not some vigilante. Jim says, own the libs is one step away from kill the libs. Yes, absolutely. And Jim also says they're objecting to our existence, not our principles. Fucking man. Just like the story about the woman, the teacher that was unable to use the child's proper pronouns in Kansas and who is suing. The story we're doing before the hour ended. This woman, this selfish, despicable, backwards, I'm going to say it again, cunt. I don't like using that word, but when you are one, you are one. And she is one. She is willing to say her religious freedom trumps a child's personal pronouns and name that they have changed for themselves. Her religious freedom is more important. And she's not she is not anything but a Trumpanzee. Something we should be fighting against. Something like, as Tara points out, the Trump rally, latest Nuremberg rally was Nazi. It's not even funny, calling for the violence and blood in the streets. That's what they do, though, Tara. See, they need somebody to give the Kyle Rittenhouse murderers of the world a pass to go and murder. They need this. This is their narrative now. They're out in the open with their narrative. It's no longer, oh, we're going to work with you, yada, yada, yada. No, we're going to kill you. You don't agree with us, we're going to kill you in the streets. We're going to run you over with a car. I didn't see any liberal go through the trucker rally with a vehicle and try and run down the trucker rally with their trucks. I didn't see that happen. What did I see the most from the People's Convoy trucker rally? People giving them the finger and telling them to fuck off. These people are insane. They deserve our ridicule and our scorn and do not deserve our media attention. And if you do give them attention, you do it as the way Tara does, to point out how much ridicule and scorn you should be giving them. Or Robin Kincaid does. See, we need to be aware of the problem to solve the problem. And then with media like ours, we go and solve the problem. We make everybody aware and we go and do something, like that story that I did about Anonymous. Anonymous did this great thing in Russia where they switched all the internet to RT stuff to pro Ukraine slogans. You know? And that's the thing. Jim asks an important question. How are we supposed to compromise with people who want us eliminated? You don't. And you don't compromise with the people who are collaborating with them. You do not compromise with the collaborators. So if you have a nice Republican, the first thing you ask the nice Republican is, why aren't you a Democrat? Why aren't you in the Democratic Party? You do not say, well, why are you still a Republican? You say, why are you still collaborating with the devil? It took me a long time to get here. And some may say, well, Tom's militant. Damn right. Damn right I'm militant. Because the other guy wants my nose to bleed. See, Thom Hartmann gives a damn about having a conversation with somebody and not giving them a bloody nose. Because he's honest about his intentions. A conservative wants to come on and give me a bloody nose. Or eliminate myself from existence. See, Kyle Rittenhouse doesn't want free speech. He wants you to stay silent. And when he can't do with a gun, he does with a lawsuit. And it's embarrassing and sickening. Tara says the Trump bowel movement won't end well. It needed to be smashed, but now they are emboldened and still told they're under attack. January 6th is a dress rehearsal. And that's why I say, Tara, I said it on this show. I'll say it on your show. That's why the January 6th people need to be in Gitmo. That Jenna Ryan twat who was saying how her liberties were attacked because she got 60 days in jail. No, she's 60 days in Gitmo. She had it too easy. They have it too easy. Well, I was going to take a poo in the Capitol. That's all I was doing. Okay, well, 60 days in Gitmo for a poo in the Capitol. See, you could have nuance while you go on the attack. And that's something I come to process and learn. Like, I can have a bit of nuance in my attack. I can recognize that all Republicans aren't completely evil people, but all Republicans are collaborating with one another to get to what they want. See what I did there? I'm not calling them all evil, but I am damn well saying they are corrupt and they are collaborators. Jim says, I hope they overreach enough that people wake up and reject the GOP wholesale. That's the problem, dude. They won't. That's why Tara Buster, that's why this show, that's why Stephanie Miller, that's why Thom Hartmann, that's why we need progressive talk. They won't wake up because there are too many people out there who don't pay attention, who don't care, who don't think politics is important to them until they're instantly hit by something. that they think it matters. There are too many people out there who agree with the Republican narrative. I mean, for Christ's sake, Beto O'Rourke, CRT shouldn't be taught in Texas schools. The answer to that should have been, you idiot, CRT is not being taught in public schools. That should have been Beto O'Rourke's answer. But even Beto fucking O'Rourke, a champion of the Democratic establishment, yada, 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 can't not let the Republican talking point act as his crutch. Even when they overreach, they win. They win because they're fighting. We're fighting with BB guns and they're fighting with machetes. You see? We got little BB gun pellets and pew, 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 pew. And these guys have fucking machetes and AR-15s and are literally killing people in the streets. You know, I guess that's a fourth reason to have right-wingers on the show. They bring some people that might be reachable. Okay. But then you slam them down. Like Thom Hartmann said to the People's Convoy thing. Don't you think most people think what you're doing is a joke? I had on my old show, I wish I had the clip of this. This one guy threatened me off air. He was with one of those Oath Keeper groups. And he was a media contact. And he said to me, well, you better be nice to me or I'm never coming on air again. He basically threatened me on air with his appearance. It's like, then don't come on again. If you can't handle tough questions, then maybe you really do need your little AR-15 as compensation for something. Just saying. If they can't handle a little criticism. I mean, there are reasons to have right-wingers on. But your voice, when you have them on, has to be louder. Like, you can't have, like, I can't, with a right-winger, I couldn't do the type of interview that I did with Thom Hartmann. Where it was nice and where it was cordial and where, you know, Tara puts a great point. Or he, what's his face could have said, Beto O'Rourke. Question: are you in favor of CRT being taught in to little snowflakes? Answer: no, I'm not in favor of elementary school children being taught a master's level law class. Anyone else have any real questions? The great answer, Tara. See, this is how you push back. And he kind of started to do that, but then he pivoted away and just went, no, I'm not in favor of it. Like, he was like trying to explain it, and then he realized, I think something in his head clicked that they wouldn't understand the explanation. Because in the video, he starts off by saying, yeah, it's taught in law school. And then he was like, no, I'm not in favor. And Tara says that's how he should have fucking answered it. Absolutely. Absolutely. But now the gift has been given. The gift has been given. Beto O'Rourke is not in favor of CRT. And Tara says he basically validated their stupidity. Fuck you, Beto. Exactly. Exactly. He validated their stupidity. He allowed their talking points. Like he could have. There's so much different he could have done. Now it's going to be. I shit you not. It's a Breitbart headline now, but it will be in a few days on the Fox News attacking Beto O'Rourke and attacking Joe Biden. Do Democrats agree or disagree with Beto O'Rourke about CRT? And we lose the narrative. That's why the show exists. The show exists to countermand the narrative of the right wing. The show, The Nosey Liberal, is to be nosy ass about what the right wing is doing and to countermand all the crazy that we're dealing with in the right wing. That's why FYNation.com exists. We exist to countermand the right wing talking points. To countermand the Lindsey Graham's fainting couches bitches of the world who get on the TV and say, well, if we just took them out, if we just took Putin out, and not have any thought of the geopolitical ramifications of taking out Vladimir Putin, whether we did it or a Russian oligarch did it. Hello. Can somebody have a thought? But whether it's Lindsey Graham or Marjorie Taylor Greene, it doesn't matter. These people are all from the same nut. And it's cracked. And it's a get-rich-quick scheme. Let's see. This is a long post from Tara. I'm going to put it up there. They'll have a effing around table about an MSNBC and a poll, leaving out the fact that it's a complete canard made up by fascists to divide the American people along racial lines. It's not just racial lines. It's along sex. The sexes. It's along any kind of line you could do. The divide and conquer is what they do. And MSNBC is supposed to be the good guys. The good guys. Oh my God. Oh my God. They had Michael Savage on their network. MSNBC had Michael Savage on, a far right-wing talk show host who, like, is the most deceitful son of a bitch you can pick. And then they wondered why they had to cut him off air when he basically told a caller that he was going to get AIDS on air. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what Michael Savage did. These people know what they're doing. Well, we didn't know. Oh, we're sorry. We didn't know what Michael Savage would do. And then they have someone somewhat better, Jim Scarborough, on. Jim Scarborough, to me, is basically Michael Savage without the hate drama attached. He's the reasonable Republican you're getting. Okay, then Joe Lieberman is the reasonable Democratic person. If Michael Savage or if Joe Scarborough is the reasonable Republican. So you're going to go to the least extreme of them all and say, well, aren't we being bipartisan? Aren't we being bipartisan? No, I disagree. I mean, Jim says maybe we shouldn't let them out of their fantasy. No, we absolutely have to. We have to. The only way you attack someone who is in a fever dream is to get them out of their fantasy world. I know this from experience. As someone who is a former, I should write a book. Like if I really should write a book about how I was as a former Republican. And how you have to, it's like getting out of a religion. You have to detoxify yourself. And you have to relearn things and relearn how to treat people. It's like a 12-step program. Because being a Republican is basically being an addict to power. That you're never going to achieve, but you want desperately. You desperately want this power. And they're all the same. And maybe it's addicted to the grift, whatever you want to call it. But that's how they are, Republicans. Republicans are deceitful, despicable, maniacal, and should not be trusted with anything, let alone government. And when Thom Hartmann has to go and talk about Josh Hawley being one of the best in his field for dealing with government spying and corporate spying, I cringe. Because I know how despicable Josh Hawley is. But I understand the point that Thom Hartmann is trying to make. But again, they're only trying to make the same point that Thom Hartmann is for their narrative. It's not for the good of the governing class or the good of the being governed. It's for their narrative, to excel their narrative. You're interfering. Big tech and big government is interfering with their narrative. So Josh Hawley has a problem with it. That's something I probably should have brought up with Thom Hartmann. Mark, Uncle Smokey says, my Republican family members have hate that is immediately noticeable on the surface. Yeah, that's a lot of Republicans. But then there are some who are really good at masking it. Or there are some like me. When I was a Republican, I used to be a Republican, I was a self-hater. So I did things to my body and to my person that was abusive. I abused myself emotionally, physically, mentally, and I still do to this day. I mean, our dear friend Tara Devlin has to continuously tell me not to call myself an idiot when I do something wrong. Because I am so used to abusing myself. Like my mom, as part of my therapy, gave me a picture of a younger version of me. And I don't think I have the picture nearby, but gave me a picture of a younger version of me. And she said, asked me, deadly serious, my mom said, do you have the ability to beat this person up? And I looked at the picture and I said, no. And she said, then why are you beating yourself up? Probably the best therapy I ever had was my mother giving me that picture. In fact, do I have it? No, I don't have it on me. I wish I had that picture on me handy. Usually I do, but I've cleaned my room, so it's not where I usually keep it. But I have this picture of myself, so I don't beat myself up when I look at it, and and it reminds me, Tom, don't beat yourself up, because it doesn't it doesn't do any good for you. And I'm getting a phone call, and I'm glad I have my phone off. But yeah, my mom is awesome. My mom is one of those few Catholics that you can safely say is a follower of Jesus Christ and not the church. And I've had her on the show before. She said she wanted to do an interview. I think at some point I'll interview my mom. She said she'd be willing to come on. She was half joking, but I think at some point I'll have her on, because she's always giving me such good advice, and I don't always listen, and I should listen more. And it's never condescending advice either. It's rooted in humanity. The advice my mom gives me. And Tara Devlin says, negative self-talk is a soul killer. Stop it. Break the habit. And I'm working on it. It's a struggle. It really is a struggle. It's a personal struggle to break the habit of negative self-talk, because I would rather just go after the Republicans. Like in the story we were talking about, the woman who just needs her religious freedom more than not being a bully to kids. It bothers me on multiple levels. But that's where we are at. They give themselves a pass. They need a pass from white Jesus, Donald Trump, their Lord and Savior. They need a pass from they need a pass from government. Kyle Rittenhouse to be able to murder 2 people and injure a third. I really want. I don't know if I want to be deposed by Kyle Rittenhouse or have Kyle Rittenhouse come on my show. But I do know one thing. I want Kyle Rittenhouse to know who I am. I want him to know who I am. That is a goal of mine. That is a profound goal of mine. Is for Kyle Rittenhouse to know who the fuck I am. So if y'all can make that happen, that would be great. So I think I'm going to make a dubstep. I'm going to learn how to make a dubstep of Kyle Rittenhouse being called a murderer, and have that as the theme for the show, because he's a murderer. I'm not sure if Rittenhouse is allowed guns now, but he has a security detail. Little punk. He should learn martial arts like my daughter. My daughter knows martial arts. My daughter doesn't need. See, this is the difference between people who are free thinkers and right wingers. My daughter doesn't need a gun. My daughter can come and kick your ass with little martial arts, and doesn't need no stinking gun. But this week we got lots of great guests coming up. I will hopefully find my glasses. I know I'm kind of rambling today this hour, but I'm having fun with the comments in the comments section with Jim and Tara and what was it, Mark? Um, so I'm a little rambly today because I can't see. Um, Tara Buster says he's allowed because he was acquitted. Oh yay! And if you notice in my background, I have no weapons. I have no weapons in my background. I don't need like a gun, or a sword, or I have my soliloquy. I have my verbiage. That's what I have as a weapon. I have my verbiage. And I think I can do enough damage with that to one's ego and to one's peace of mind. I think I could do enough damage with my verbiage. But I really want to thank Tara Devon for being a big supporter of me and this network, and it means a lot. Um, and uh, uh, and Marky says exactly your words, your brain. Thank you, Mark. And I want to thank the Tara Buster converts to the show. I know it's early in the morning. I know you probably got River was in here earlier. I know it's early in the morning, but you could watch the replay of the show and you can share the video, you could subscribe, you could like. You don't have to be here live. At 8 o'clock on Saturdays, we do a woke talk radio. Now I did the first one Saturday and Jim participated. Jim was great. So you can participate in that. Jim says cowards need a gun and shop at Walmart. Absolutely. Absolutely. But, we don't. We don't need weaponry. We have what comes out of our mouths. Tara was talking about Donald Trump and CRT, and in the comment section, and we're going to talk about that one real quick before we head out of here. And I'm going to just post the link in the hashtag FY Live if you want to see it, and a copy to the show that you can share it. This so-called leader, this so-called presidential candidate really annoys the crap out of me, almost as much as not having any glasses annoys me. But I'm not gonna play the video because I'm not gonna hurt your ears. But the insider, Business Insider, at the Nuremberg rally, Trump calls on supporters to lay down their lives to defend U.S. against critical race theory. There he is, madman in the mad hat, with the gloves, so you can't get any DNA evidence. The rally was in South Carolina, and apparently CRT in schools is a matter of national survival, he told them. Critical race theory is an academic practice that explores how America's history of racism and discrimination continues to impact the country today. So again, you might be a racist if you're against CRT. I'm just saying, you might be a racist if you're against CRT and you have such a problem that you can't handle critical race theory, you might be a racist. You might be the problem. And I have Exhibit A, the great Donald J. Trump. Something that is not taught in schools is something that is so horrible that you have to lay down your lives for Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Right. Have a great day. Um, and, uh, something you have to lay down your lives for? Critical race theory? Are you fucking insane? Yes, he is insane. Donald Trump, the Orange Menace, thinks that this is such a travesty that people need to lay, and it's not being widely taught. Republicans won't even have it. Republicans are outlawing it when it's not even a thing in curriculum. It's in law schools. And oh my God, critical thinking. Keyword, critical thinking. They want people to be low information. Lightweights. If you're low information and if you can't think critically, you can't see what's being done wrong. So you got to say no to critical race theory. CRT is bad. You got to say, if you're for it, you're bad. Beto O'Rourke, why are you for critical? Are you for critical race theory? I'm for critical race theory, and it's not being taught in Texas schools. There you have it. That's all he had to say. You fucking nutter. But instead, I'm against critical race theory. So you're against teaching American history and how racism has been depicted in schools. You don't want people to be able to not do that? I mean, come on. This is and lay down your lives for critical race theory. There are so many other things you could lay it down your lives for fucking peanut butter before fucking critical race theory. For Christ's sake. Critical race theory. Lay down your lives. They're saying I'm a racist. Well, you are, dude. But Herschel Walker's my black friend. Oh my God. And so, by the way, so what if it's being taught? What? So what if it's being taught? If you're thinking as a Republican, as a conservative, is so harmed by critical race theory, that is not my problem. I'll say again, if your thinking is so harmed by critical race theory teaching, and you can't come up with a narrative to protect yourself against that, and your fancy and your Republican talking points, and you can't come up with a narrative, that's your problem, not mine, not the teacher's fault for teaching facts. For Pete's sake. Let's see. Trump said, the fate of any nation ultimately depends on the willingness of its citizens to lay down, and they must do this. They must lay down their very lives to defend their country. Critical race theory? What happened to the party of Abraham Lincoln? Critical race theory. These people do not want you to think critically. They want no, because then you might realize the fallacy in their talking points. They can't handle that. Critical thinking. Because then people might realize that Kevin McCarthy is the stupidest person in Washington, D.C. Something that I point out every day on the show. I mean, for Pete's sake. Lay down your lives for critical race theory. Insert punchline. There isn't one. He's serious. He's serious. This is what we're fighting against. You're teaching the critical race theory in schools. Translation, you're teaching being mean to honky in schools. Well, can't don't there have any of that. Oh my God. Tara says, I hope they lay down their lives like the Heaven's Gate cult. Oh, I wish they'd just grow the fuck up. Like, I wish I could have a party that was conservative that, like, was grown up. Where you could have critical thinking, and being critical of race in America was something that we took as, okay, it was a part of our past. What do we do to make sure that it doesn't happen again? That's critical race theory right there. Racism was systemic in our society as a governing body. What do we do to make sure that it doesn't happen again? Well, the comment, Jim, is misread that because I can't see. The comment, Jim, is Donald Trump's fat ass. That's the comment that everybody in the Trump cult sees. It's Donald Trump's fat ass. Critical race theory. They're afraid. They don't want to protect minorities because they're racist. And they might be out of power if they do. Even the tiniest good Republican who believes in critical race theory, I'm sure there are some out there who understand, are collaborators in the whole grift marketing scheme that is the Republican Party to stay in power. That's why you do not give them aid and comfort. You do not help them along. You are doing them a service if you are not pointing out how bad their narrative is, and you are just trying to have a dialogue with them. There's no dialogue to be had. It took me a long time to get here, but I'm here now, and there's no dialogue to be had. Except for maybe what Thom Hartmann said. How to deal with these people in your daily lives, because enough of the people are going to be succumbed, even Beto O'Rourke, to Republican talking points. And then again, I say that's what this show is for, my friends. This show is to make it so your friends and your family do not succumb to Republican talking points. You do not allow yourself to do that. You can be that person who helps this show spread a positive message, a critical message. I got one for you. Critical American theory. Where I can be critical of the United States of America, and the theory is it's not the most freedomy place in the world to live. How's that for you for an ending of the show? Stick that in your bonnet, folks. We can save this sinking ship together. Ron Placone will be on the show tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Another interview, and I can't wait. And hopefully I'll find my glasses. Thank you for putting up with the show. Have a great day. Stay safe.